This is why how you do what you do is way more important than what you do. Because when you do things with consciousness, when you choose consciously to do the things that you're doing, to think the thoughts that you're thinking, to speak the words that you're saying, you stop being surprised by the results. When you are doing things unconsciously, when you're doing things just kind of on autopilot, and life reflects that back to you, you tend to be surprised. You tend to be like, well, I didn't want that to happen. Well, I didn't want that result. Well, I didn't want that to show up in my life. But it was the inevitable result of the frequency that you were vibrating at. You just didn't consciously choose your frequency. And so when the results come, when the inevitable results come of living at the frequency that you've been living at, you're surprised because you didn't consciously, with thought, with intention, choose to be doing what you were doing. Now, the shift happens when you start to choose things consciously, and you can be doing the exact same things. This is the part that I think a lot of people get intimidated by on the spiritual path. They think that once they start being more spiritual, once they start doing things with consciousness, they have to change their whole life. You don't need to change your whole life. But once you consciously start to recognize that the frequency that you're living at and the things that you're vibing with and the things that you're sending out into the world are being reflected back to you, you start to be more intentional about it, because you start to see the direct causation and the direct correlation and the direct cause and effect relationship that you have with the world that you're living in. So it's not about changing everything that you're doing. It's about living the life of your dreams. It's about living in alignment with who you really are and who you really want to be. And when you start to see things being reflected back to you that you don't like, you get to then consciously choose to be radiating a different vibration, sending out different signals to reality. It's not about changing everything that you do all at once for no reason, just because some spiritual person told you to. It's because you know what you really want. And when you start to intentionally send out signals to reality, you intentionally start to receive signals from reality, then you are choosing to live a different life. You're choosing to live the life in alignment with what you want. For example, say you love Cheetos. When you're just sitting there on the couch, just eating Cheetos, without thinking about it and not without consciousness, and then later your stomach feels all bloated and you feel like crummy. If you did not do it with consciousness, you might not make the connection between the Cheetos and how your body feels later. But when you do it with consciousness, when you're consciously saying, I choose to eat these Cheetos, whatever the effects are, I'll notice it, I'll notice the effects in my body, but I'm choosing to eat these Cheetos. Suddenly you've taken command of your own life. No matter how you feel later, it's okay because you did it on purpose. And that's what happens when you start to live consciously instead of by default.